Alrighty, we are getting ready to review for our Unit 1 test. So Unit 1 is split into two parts, and this is going to be our first test. So if we look at question 1, it says, if f of x equals the square root of 2x plus 3 over 6x minus 5, then f of 1/2 equals what? What you need to realize here is that f of x became f of 1/2. All this means is that x is equal to 1/2, because you can see that the x got replaced with 1/2. So we could use our calculator to tell our calculator that x equals 1/2. On the school calculator, you put x first, then control button next to the 9, 1/2. This is just how I do it on my calculator here. And then we write in the whole entire function, the square root of 2x plus 3. And on the bottom, we put 6x minus 5. And we get the answer of -1, which is answer choice D. Very nice. All right, now let's look at question 2. Question 2 is very similar to what we were just doing, where we were told what f of x equals. Don't even worry about what that means. And we were told that we want to find the value of f of 8. All this means is that x equals 8. So I'm going to tell my calculator that x is equal to 8. X is equal to 8. Oh, it's not working. 1 second. Let me try one more time. X is equal to 8. Oh, for some reason it's not working. Well, I'll show you the old way that you could do it. The old way that you learned how to do it is anywhere you see x, you would plug in that you know that x is 8 using parentheses. So you'd put 8 squared minus 1/4. Then it says x, but I'm going to replace x with parentheses 8 plus 3 parentheses, and I get 27, which is answer choice D. Alrighty, let's look at number 3. Determine if the product, very important, the word product means to multiply. They want us to determine if the product of 3 square root of 2 multiplied by 8 square root of 18, is that rational, which is a number that can be written as a fraction, or is that irrational, a number that cannot be written as a fraction? So let's say C. We get 144, which, because that is a whole number, that is definitely rational. Alrighty. Let's look at number 4. The product of this and this is, again, remember that the word product means to multiply, so we need to multiply both these things. The square root of 576 arrow over times the square root of 684, which gets us this decimal answer, which that decimal answer is definitely rational. And now we need to know, why is it rational? Is it rational because one factor, which means like a number, one number is irrational, or is it because both numbers are irrational? Let's look at it now. 576, is 24, and 684, irrational. So only one of them is irrational, which is answer choice C. Very good. All right, let's look at the next question. If k of x equals this, then k of 9 is, meaning they want us to replace x with 9. Again, on the school calculator, you can just type in that x equals 9. But here on my calculator, since I'm having a problem, I'm just going to substitute in that x is 9, which gets me 153. All I did is anywhere I seen x, I put parentheses 9. And this next one, the function g of x is defined as g of x, and they want to know what is the value of g of -3. So let's see this right now. We're going to, anywhere we see x in this problem, we're going to put parentheses -3. So negative 2. Instead of x squared, I'm going to put negative 3 squared in parentheses plus 3. And instead of x, I'm going to put negative 3. And when I do that, I get negative 27, which is answer choice A. All right, let's look at number 7. Which of the following is the correct interval notation for the inequality? Y is less than 2. These symbols you see here in each of the answer choice should be an infinity symbol. An infinity symbol. It shouldn't have the line through it. That's just how it typed in the computer software, but it should really just be an infinity symbol. All right, so let's read it again. The inequality y is less than 2. If y is less than 2, that means when you're less than 2, 2 is the biggest you're ever going to become, and you're going towards negative infinity. Because you could be numbers like 0, 1, -1, -5, -10. When you're going towards infinity, you do not know what infinity is equal to, which means when you don't know what something's equal to, you use parentheses. And then that 2, we do not know what that 2 is equal to because it doesn't say equal to 2. It just says less than 2, which means we use another parenthesis, which is answer choice C. Perfect. Let's look at number 8, very similar. How do we write the inequality? X is less than or equal to negative 2. Again, the biggest number that we're ever going to become is negative 2. We are less than or equal to negative 2. When you're equal to negative 2, you could put a square bracket at negative 2. And if you're less than negative 2, that means you're all the negative numbers before negative 2, which means you're going towards negative infinity. And when you go towards negative infinity, you don't know what the number is equal to, so you get a parenthesis. Oh, that's the wrong answer choice, my bad. It would actually be answer choice A. We're going towards negative infinity. Infinity always gets a parenthesis, and we're stopping at negative 2 since we're equal to negative 2. All right, number 9. Which interval notation represents the following? Okay, both of these numbers are not equal to x. When they're not equal, they get a parenthesis, which is answer choice B. All right, let's look at number 10. How do we write the following inequality? So we're not equal to negative 4, which means parentheses at negative 4. And then we are equal to 0, which is answer choice C. When you're not equal to, it's a parenthesis. When you are equal to, it's a square bracket. All right, let's look at number 11. Express the given radical in simplest radical form. Show all work. While, yes, we do love if you show all work, you technically do not need to show work for a multiple choice question. So if you wanted to do this quicker, you could just type in 3 square root of 98 and then type in each answer choice and see what is equal to that with the simplest number inside the radical. But let's just see how we do this by hand. Using the perfect square numbers, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81. We would see which one could divide into 98. And actually 49 divides in 2 times. So the square root of 9 is 7. Leave square root of 2 alone. 3 times 7 is 21. Square root of 2, which is answer choice D. A question like number 2, you do not have the option to do any of the multiple choice tricks because there is no other answer choices. So we have to do it out by hand. So we're going to put 2. We want to separate the square root of 72. So we got to look at the list of perfect squares and see which number could divide into 72. And the one that works is 36. Yes, maybe 4 could work. Let me see if 4 works. Yes, 4 could work, but we need the biggest number that could work, the biggest perfect square number, which is 36. And 72 divided by 36 is 2. Leave the 2 alone. Then the square root of 36 is 6. Leave the square root of 2 alone since that would give you an irrational number. 2 times 6 is 12, square root of 2. Now, the day of the test, if you want to make sure, did I get this answer correct? We could type in the original problem, 2 square root of 72, And then we could type in our answer that we think it is, 12 square root of 2. And because those are perfectly equal, that is our answer. All right, number 3 again. Remember, we can just do the trick. We can just type it in and see what's equivalent. But let's say we want to do it by hand. Anytime you are being asked to add or subtract radicals, you have to get the numbers under the radical to be the same. I know I can't simplify 5 square root of 3, so I'm going to leave that alone. But I'm going to off to the side see, how could I simplify square root of 12? I know that's an irrational number, so I'm going to look for a perfect square that could divide into 12, which is 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. And then the square root of 4 is 2. Leave square root of 3 alone. So I get 2 square root of 3. And now these are like terms. Square root of 3 is the same thing as square root of 3, so leave that alone. And we are just going to worry about these outside coefficients. 5 minus 2 is 3. So our answer is 3 square root of 3, which is choice C. You could also have just typed in the problem. Remember, we're not going to care about seeing any of your work on a multiple choice question. You would get that answer. Then you would type in your answer. And because those are two equal, that means that is your answer. Let's look at number 14. The difference with number 14 and 13 is when you are adding and subtracting radicals, they need to be the same number. But when you are multiplying, they do not need to be the same number under the radical. So you could just start multiplying right away. 2 over 3 times 12, let's see what that equals. 2 over 3 times 12, that equals 8. And then let's see, what is 14 times 7? 98, very nice. Now the square root of 98 is not a nice number, so we have to simplify it. Let's try some different things. Did that divide into 36? No, what about 49 maybe? 49 works. 49, which is our perfect square number. 2, which is going to be our bad house. It's the number that will not simplify. So then we get 8. The square root of 49 is 7, and leave square root of 2 alone. 8 times 7 is 56. Leave square root of 2 alone. And this is answer choice B. And let's get a look at number 15. 15 is exactly the same thing that I was just talking about. When you are multiplying radicals, you will multiply first. Multiply the outside coefficients. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Then multiply the numbers inside the radical. 10 times 5 is 50. Now we have to simplify square root of 50. So we are going to think about what is a perfect square that could go into 50. First you would try 49, no good. Then you might try 36, no good. But if you remember, 25 does work. 50 divided by 25 is 2. So we get negative 6. The square root of 25 is 5, square root of 2. Negative 6 times 5 is negative 30, square root of 2. And that would be answer choice C. All right, now we have long response questions. Try those, and let's see if we could do those. Alrighty, so let's look at this multiplication problem. So here, remember, when multiplying, you do not need to simplify first. Just multiply right away. 15 times 1/5 is 3. And then just the number on the inside, we call it the radicand. 3 times 24, that is 72. Now we are going to think about what perfect square number could divide into 72. And it is 36. 36 and 2. The square root of 36 is 6. Leave square root of 2 alone. Then 3 times 6 is 18, and leave square root of 2. And this is our final answer. Again, you can check and make sure that that answer is correct before you submit it by multiplying on the calculator and checking to see, do the numbers match up? Which right here, they definitely do. All right, let's look at number 17. Find the value of 4 radical 10 divided by radical 20 in simplest radical form. If you remember, this is where we have to rationalize the denominator because we are not allowed to have a square root number in the denominator. So we are going to multiply the top and bottom by square root of 20. We end up getting, on the top, leave 4 alone, and then let's multiply the radicals. 10 times 20 gets us 200. And now on the bottom, the square root of 20 times the square root of 20 is just 20. Now let's see if we could simplify the top. I know that 200 is not a perfect square number, but I can take out 100, which is a perfect square number, times 2. The square root of 100 is 10, and leave square root of 2 alone. 4 times 10 is 40, square root of 2. So we get 40 square root of 2 divided by 20. 40 divided by 20 is 2, leave square root of 2 alone. And this is our final answer. Something like this scares me, like I'm not 100% sure this is correct. So I'm going to always type in the original problem, as long as I type it in correctly. And then I am going to type in my answer, and I'm going to check to make sure they get me the same number, which they do. Perfect. Let's go look at number 18. Find the value of 6 divided by square root of 12 in simplest radical form. So I'm going to multiply both the top and the bottom by square root of 12. This is called rationalizing the denominator. So on the top, I would just have 6 over radical 12, not over, 6 radical 12. They're being multiplied together. And radical 12 times radical 12 is just 12. And now I need to simplify 6 radical 12. To separate 12, I would separate into 4 and 3. The square root of 4 is 2, square root of 3. 6 times 2 is 12, square root of 3. So this is our new top. 12 square root of 3 over 12. Guess what? 12 divided by 12, those just cancel. Our final answer is radical 3. Beautiful job. Now, this question. Simplify the given expression. Multiple choice? I'm going to use my trick because I just want to use my trick this time. Plus radical 12 minus radical 48. When I do all of that, I get 1.7320 ... I'm going to type in every answer choice, not just one, every single one, and see which one gets me the same. First one, no. Second one, no. Third one, no. And fourth one, you can never have a negative under the square root, so that is not true. Let me see what is the problem here. Radical 27 plus radical 12 minus square root of 48. 1.73. Okay, let me type in all the answer choices again. First one, let me type in the second one, and let me type in the third one. Oh, the second one works. That was my mistake. The second one works. Okay, perfect. Let's look at number 20. This one I'll actually show you how to do it by hand, just so we do some by hand. Okay, let's simplify 1 over 3 square root of 27. Okay, the square root of 27 is 9 and 3, and the square root of 9 is 3. Leave square root of 3 alone. 1/3 times 3 is 1, square root of 3. Okay, now let's look at the square root of 48. We could separate 48 into 16 and 3. The square root of 16 is 4. Leave square root of 3 alone. And let's look at the square root of 75. That would be 25 and 3. The square root of 25 is 5. Leave square root of 3 alone. And all three of these are going to get added together. Sometimes they might not all get added, so make sure you check. 1 square root of 3 plus 4 square root of 3 plus 5 square root of 3. You're going to leave square root of 3 alone, never ever change that. And then we're going to do 1 plus 4 plus 5, which equals 10. Answer choice D. Perfect. Number 21. This is a simplifying an expression. We know what x equals right here. We are told that x equals -3. so we can type this into our calculator. The calculator at school, you can just type in x, control, button x to the 9, negative 3, and then type in your expression. Let me show you how to do it if you weren't going to do that. You would replace x with negative 3. It's telling me that x is being cubed, plus 2, put negative 3, squared, make sure you use parentheses, minus negative 3. Let me type in exactly what I see here. Negative 3 to the third, plus 2, negative 3 squared, minus negative 3. And when I do that, I get negative 6 as my final answer. Good job. All right, let's go look at 22. This is basically the same exact problem. All right. We are going to do x is equal to negative 2. Anywhere inside our problem where we see x, we are going to replace it with parentheses negative 2. And let's type this in. Negative 4, negative 2 squared, minus 3, negative 2 plus 2. I get negative 8, which is our final answer. So, what is everything that we have learned in this first half of Unit 1? We have learned how to simplify expressions when we know what x equals. We have learned to add, multiply, subtract radicals. We have learned how to rationalize the denominator. We learned the calculator trick for multiple choice questions. We learned about the interval notation and inequalities. And lastly, we learned about the difference between rational and irrational numbers. Make sure you look this all up so you are good to go for the test.